my dear learners. At the very beginning, I welcome you all to this module on English for anchoring. In the previous module, you have learned about English for journalism and specific communicational and functional use of the language for the field of journalism. This module will help you to understand the specific communicational skills necessary for anchoring, focusing on the use and necessity of English language. Now, before we get into the significance of English in anchoring, let us go through the objectives of this module. This module will make you understand a basic overview of anchoring as a skill and an emerging profession. Discuss genres of anchoring specific to purposes and situations. We will also discuss the significance and requirement of English for anchoring. Now, dear learners, let's have some introduction on anchoring. The word anchoring derives from the word anchor, a device or object attached to a boat or to moor the ship or boat in a place. Anchoring refers to the act of providing stability to a situation, event or a program. From this explanation of anchoring, an anchor as a person refers to a person who narrates, moderates or coordinates an event on stage or a news broadcast on air. In Indian subcontinent, concept of Sutradhar from Bharatmuni's Natya Shastra is closely related to this concept. In Indian folk and Sanskrit theatre traditions, Sutradhar leads a story like the thread holders in a puppetry. Now coming to public speaking and anchoring, what are the differences and what are the similarities between these two terminologies? Public speaking or oration refers to the act of conveying information and sharing ideas while persuading your live listeners to a particular topic. Public oration can take place in various occasions such as public meetings, conferences and seminars, classrooms, business meetings, political rally, etc. etc. On the other hand, anchoring or hosting an event, also known as emceeing, refers to the role of a person to present and direct a particular event. It is also associated with broadcasting mediums such as television shows or radio programs and also to live events on stage. An anchor is the intermediary between the audience and the performances. Anchoring requires a good skill of oration with improvisation ability according to the situation. While public speaking aims at conveying an information or to persuade an audience with a well-prepared speech, anchoring involves hosting and directing an event, schedule, providing introductions, shifts and switches as well as commentary to keep the event. Program or electronic broadcast running smoothly and in organized way also depends on anchoring. Now coming to announcer and an anchor, what are the correlation and the relation between these two persons or terminologies? An announcer makes announcement of an upcoming event, weather forecast or any other matter of public relevance through public delivery systems of open mic or may be incorporated in between broadcasting media programs just like the news bulletins. An announcer is not always an anchor. An anchor may announce information related to a particular event. On the other hand, an announcer is not limited to a particular event. An anchor has the responsibility of guiding a program or event from starting till end. An announcer has no such responsibility. For example, a broadcasting announcer may announce the information of an event on International Day of Yoga in between a news bulletin. Anchoring has emerged as a popular career option across globe since the last decade of 20th century. With the coming of satellite channels and digital platforms contributed to its popularity as a career option among the youngsters. With the coming up of several news and entertainment channels, gradually the profession became quite lucrative. Anchor is the face seen by millions each day or per event and they are instantly recognized by people. This career needs an extrovert character with lots of energy. An anchor should be free from inhibitions while communicating with their audience and also the performers. Now coming to the most popular platform of anchoring, that is news anchoring. News anchoring is basically a journalistic profession to inform the public by presenting news stories and events happening on a local, national and international level. News anchoring is limited not only to broadcast mediums of television and radio but also encompasses digital platforms or digital media outlets. News anchoring should not get confused with news reporting. That requires visiting field and collecting data to make a package. That is the job of a reporter, while the news anchor will present the data collected by the reporter to their audience. Coming to skills of a news anchor, my dear learners, there are two kinds of skills that a news anchor should need. One is the academic training, the other one is professional skills. Academic training, although it's not mandatory to have a degree of mass communication, journalism or broadcast media to be a news anchor, most of the time one with certain academic training gets preference in job market. On the other hand, professional skills one can gather with relevant work experience and internships. Relevant work experience and internships helps in acquiring required professional skills to be a news anchor. Dear learners, there are professional skills required for being an anchor, and good communication skill is one among them. A news anchor requires strong verbal as well as written communication skills to deliver the information to their audience in a convincing manner. Again, an anchor should have some interpersonal skills. News anchors are the link between journalists or the reporters and their audience. Therefore, they need to maintain a good relationship with the news sources. Hence, their interpersonal skills have to be very high. Then comes the technical skills. News anchors should have technical know-how of audiovisual editing softwares as per requirement of the profession. Time management is key for a news anchor. News will always go on air on time. Hence, a news anchor should be fast-paced, punctual, and should have the ability to multitask to complete assignments on time because news will wait for none. Language proficiency is another master key for a news anchor. News anchors should master the language they present in the bulletin in. However, ability to speak, read, and write English enriches an anchor with global reach and exposure. A news anchor should have a way with words. A news anchor should pick words carefully to not make the presentation full of jargons, but at the same time appealing for the audience. They should be able to produce a grammatically correct and concise presentation with cross-checked information. My dear learners, there are different types of news anchoring. Anchoring for broadcasting medium is one among them. Anchors for broadcast medium will have two categories again. One is radio anchors and the other one is television anchors or television presenters. Television anchors have to work in relation to the supporting visuals. They need less word and should use a crisp script. On the other hand, to make the audience visualize about the situation of a particular news story, the radio anchor needs to narrate it in detail. Hence, written words for a radio news bulletin is always more than a TV bulletin. Then comes the anchoring for digital platforms. Digital anchors performs like television presenters but in a comparatively casual way. Besides, as in digital spaces, concept of timely bulletin doesn't exist. Hence, the anchors have full liberty to extend the bulletin as per the requirement of a news story. Now, my dear learners, let's have some tips for radio anchoring. Clear and correct pronunciation is the key to good radio anchoring. Make the microphone your mate. Awareness about the position and direction of the microphone is essential in radio anchoring. Address your listeners directly by using simple active sentences to grab their attention. The more you cultivate the habit of using the phrases like you and I, the more your audience will get engaged to your show. Avoid using terms like anyone out there, you all, some of you, etc. Using such generic terms will disconnect your listeners because your audience are individual entities, not a collective group of people. The anchor should be in charge of the program. Keep your voice energetic without getting forceful and guide your listeners. Now, let us also have some tips for television anchoring. Written words or script for TV anchoring should be crisp and concise again. Anchors should attend news briefs and meetings with other bulletin personnel like the reporters or the copy editor. Anchor may consult the script before the recording or broadcast of the bulletin and make necessary improvisation. The anchor should be in charge of the bulletin and should be very energetic. A television anchor should address their audience directly. Anchors today should have social media presence as well to connect with their audience off the space of the television. As an anchor, you should maintain a friendly yet calm and professional approach throughout the bulletin. Although the scripts for a news bulletin are written by bulletin inserts or copy editor, a news anchor should fact check before going on air. Profession of anchoring not only includes the news bulletin anchors but also includes anchoring of events on stage. They are called the stage anchors or anchor on stage or the MCs. Every event or program requires an anchor to moor it. Starting from the annual day event at your school or the New Year Eve at your residential colony or the National Film Award ceremony or the Paris Fashion Week, every show, every event or a performance requires anchoring to lead and guide the audience through the itinerary. Every event has their unique characteristics and hence the anchor should be watchful of using situation or event specific words, sentences and also the body language. The vocabulary used for a film festival will not fit Khajuraho Dance Festival in Madhya Pradesh. Again, anchoring of your school annual day will demand a different script than New Year Eve at your colony or club. Before the final day performance and preparation of script, anchors should do some research on the topic. Fluency in language, clarity of thought and diction, sense of humor, confidence and knowledge on different issues make an anchor unique from their contemporaries. An anchor must be precise and to the point on putting their view. Confidence is the most prestigious key to lead the show successfully. Anchor of an event also should be in charge of the event and they should be very energetic to be so. Television and radio programs on different topics and contemporary issues also require presenters or anchors. They are called as program anchors or program presenters. Program anchors at times earn iconic status with their unique style of presentation, confidence and depth of knowledge. We can have a reference of such iconic anchoring from famous television anchors of Amul Surabhi, Siddhartha Kake and Renuka Sahni. The 21st century has seen a rise in the number of occasions that required anchoring. This is due to a number of factors including the increasing popularity of live events, the growth of social media and the demand for more engaging and interactive content. Now if we look at occasions for anchoring in the 21st century, corporate events will come first. Corporate events such as product launches, conferences and award ceremonies often feature anchoring. Again, media events such as press conferences, interviews and talk shows often feature anchoring to introduce guests, facilitate discussions and keep the event on track. Live streaming events such as concerts, sporting events and educational lectures often feature anchoring to provide commentary and to interact with the audience. Social media events such as product launches, contests and live Q&As often also feature anchoring to introduce the event, moderate the conversation and also answer the questions. Virtual events such as webinars, online courses and virtual conferences often also have anchoring to keep the event running smoothly and to engage the audience. Remember, every anchor should have an USP, unique selling point that makes them stand distinct from others. You will do well by watching or listening to most of the eminent anchors from India and abroad. Dear learners, now let us have some tips for anchoring an event. Always start off with a smile. Try to start your opening with powerful influencing words like change, awaken, imagine, dream, believe, etc. Make a direct connection with audience with your script and words. Always use I and you phrases. Make some room for improvisation in your script. Include some personal story related to the theme. Be very particular about your body language and other form of non-verbal communication such as hand postures, facial expression, showing fatigue and tiredness, etc. Be in charge as long as you are on stage. If possible, go amidst the audience. Anchors should not speak non-stop. Be concise but effective. Always prepare some backup lines to accommodate someone who is not invited or new. Presence of mind is the key here. And always and in all ways thank the sponsor of the event because they bring your bread and butter. Now coming to the significance of English in anchoring, being one of the most widely spoken language in the world, it is the language of international business, education and entertainment. As a result, dear learners, English is the language of choice for many anchoring events. Here are few reasons behind the significance of functional English in anchoring. Wider reach and exposure is one among them. As one of the most widely spoken languages across globe and one of the official languages of our country, anchoring in English will provide a much wider reach than any other languages. As a result of a wider exposure, English anchoring ensures more job opportunities. English proficiency is highly valued in the national and international platforms. Hence, possibility of job opportunities for someone anchoring in English will be more in national and international media outlets. In a run of internet and digital era, like other professionals, anchors also rely on digital platforms to gather their information, and majority of online content is in English. By having a good command of the language, anchors can easily access a wealth of resources and fact-check their information before presenting it to their audiences. English, as the unofficial lingua franca across the globe, also works as a medium for cultural exchange. With the knowledge of the language, the anchors can easily exchange cultural experiences to their audience. English is a very expressive language, which allows anchors to communicate their ideas clearly and concisely. Also, English has a wide vocabulary that allows anchors to find the right words to describe complex concepts. Because English is a versatile language, English allows anchors to adapt their style to the specific event they are hosting. While anchoring in English, you should be very careful of your diction, accent, and vocabulary. Diction implies to the choices and use of words and phrases in speech. It also refers to the style of enunciation in speaking. Although often confused with diction, accent is the distinctive way of pronouncing a language associated to a particular class, area of national identity. For example, using a poetic diction for an Urdu poetry event will be apt, but use of the same diction for a business event or fashion show will not be best suitable example of anchoring. Although an anchor's accent ideally should be non-identifiable by the audience, but if one can use the accent specific to the target audience, it will facilitate more connection with the audience. For example, anchoring an event in Broadway will get high appreciation with the use of American accent. However, the replica of the same event, if performed at the heart of Chandni Chowk of New Delhi, the anchor should not use the American accent. Rather, they should use the accent used in Chandni Chowk. Again, every field of professional has specific vocabulary. For example, if an anchor has to conduct an event at Apollo, Chennai, or AIIMS, Delhi, it involving commoners and medical practitioners, they should be aware of the vocabulary specific for medical profession. But while working on their diction, they should be conscious of the presence of commoners at that event. Dear learners, an anchor should be watchful of few things while anchoring. Sentences should be crisp and concise. Jargon should be avoided if audience is not limited to a particular field of action. Pace yourself to the mood of the event and articulate your thought before speaking. This will allow your audience to connect. Leave some space for breathing, especially if supported by visuals. Engage with your audience. You may involve your audience by using interactive phrases. Pay attention to your pronunciation and pacing. Work on your vocabulary and also diction. Be aware of cultural differences, as English is spoken differently in various geographical and cultural backdrops. Avoid using certain cultural references if your audience is not from the background or have diverse cultural identity. Pay attention to your audience's reactions and also other cues. With this, we come to the end of this module. In this module, we have learned about what anchoring is all about, also about the skill of anchoring. We have also learned about the genres of anchoring and significance of English language in the profession as a tool of communication. We also have discussed about the necessary skills and qualities of an anchor. Hope this will help you to acquire some basic understanding of anchoring and what type of functional English is necessary for an anchor. In the next modules, we shall discuss English for academic writings or English for academic purposes. So, see you again in the next module. Till then, keep on learning. Bye-bye.